On the dashboard today, we've got this very interesting prototype from a brand new company called Orion Knives.
This is the Solaris from Orion Knives.
We have Orion Knives' new prototype, the Solaris.
A prototype by Orion Knives.
Check this out.
Yo, what's going on? We have got Blade Banter on tonight, nighttime podcast. Cheers to you, my friend, and everyone else.
Yeah, definitely.
I was wondering if this was gonna happen because you were like, "Oh man, I'm in traffic. All right, I'm gonna eat." And then, but I'm glad that you got on. I'm very excited for you. The reason why I wanted you to be on here is your knife, the knife that you designed, is on Kickstarter right now. The Orion, right?
Yeah, Orion's the brand, and then the Solaris is the name of that knife. Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, let's just go back to like the origins. I know we talked about it a little bit before when you were on the podcast. This is the third time you've been on, right? Or second time?
Second time. Yeah.
Okay, second time. So, you explained a little bit briefly about you were still shopping around about who's going to do it, who's going to make it. You decided to go with QSP, right?
Yep. Yeah, QSP is making it. I already had that relationship with them, work with them. Already went to Blade Show, SHOT Show with them. So that was kind of a no-brainer as far as actually working with them and everything else. So that's the way I went.
Hold on a second. Let me just get rid of this thing real quick. Yeah, there you go. So when is the Kickstarter going to end?
September 7th, if I'm not mistaken. So don't quote me on that exactly, but I believe it's the 7th.
Is that like 2 weeks?
No, it's basically 45 days.
45 days. Okay.
Yeah,
so you still got some time. So everybody that loves my show, that loves my channel, please go get a Solaris, right? And, I'm going to put this crazy thing out there right now. The biggest backer of this knife, like, I'm going to give you a reward or something. Like, whether you want to hop in on a podcast with me or just something, we're going to do something. So the person who backs the most, is going to get a reward from me.
Yeah, they can take a little screenshot of it. And once they back, then they'll actually show them how much it was and everything.
Right. So and then, I'll give, I don't know, maybe we'll do a giveaway or maybe like I'll do something special. Like I said, like if a person wants to hop in on the podcast or maybe advertise their business or something like that, it would be kind of cool.
Nice.
But
awesome.
Yeah, dude. So, how did you decide to go with the button lock? You said that you love button locks, right? From what
button locks are kind of the key of it. And I mean, it kind of was like this one, as far as like the Tie-Tac 2.
Yes, that is the beloved button lock.
Yeah, it's kind of where it started from. I mean, it has the most type of fidget action for it. It's a little sloppy. I mean, this is kind of when I first got into it. This type of button lock was like really good and everything else. After experiencing some other button locks, maybe the Medford, the ProTech button locks.
Oh, ProTech,
yeah. You can kind of tell a little bit difference as far as the quality of that. So that's where you can kind of see that this is a little bit sloppy. It's still fun. It's still a good thing to do. But that's kind of where the button lock became my favorite type of lock for that fidget factor and then how it actually works.
The Mordax had a button lock, right? Am I correct on this?
Yeah, Mordax on Malibu.
That's the last one that I got to try.
Yeah.
Through the Apex Pass-Around group, man, which I wanted to ask you something about this. And I have just been, I loved the way you've been taking care of the group. And like, I know that you keep track of what everyone has. And I don't know if I'm just thinking this. And I'm like, I think David is keeping track of what I have because he puts me like lower, which I'm glad that you do if you do it, because I hold on to the shit too long. Like I have dedicated a series on my channel called Too Many Cuts. And it's like when I have too many knives and I have to send them out. So like the next day I ship like 5 knives.
Yeah, but you come in, like whenever you do that, you come off like I'm like getting on to you. I'm like yelling at you and everything. It's like no. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely is. Yeah, some of it is like if you have a bunch already, then we're like, well, we'll move you down a little bit, and so you can clear out these, and then we'll get to the other one afterwards.
That's good, dude. I'm glad that you do that. You know what's crazy is I feel like I have all the capability to make content and stuff, but I almost feel like I need someone to help manage me. Like Kelly did something for me like recently where you know, she knows I love whiskey and bourbon, and she bought me whiskey from this small distillery called the Orange County Distillery.
Awesome.
And, in like a farmer's market in the city, right? And she was like, hey, my fiance has a podcast. Would you be open to collaborate, and like maybe, you know, like he'll drink it on the podcast, he'll, you know, advertise it. And I'm like, that is the first business like thing to ever happen on the channel, dude. And I never think that way.
And is that solid now? So are you sponsored by a certain whiskey?
The guy was like,
bourbon?
let's, you know, like he definitely like wants to work on it. So we're still working it out right now. Like I haven't like wrote him. Like,
oh,
I'm so
you gotta
bad.
follow up.
I know, man. I'm so bad. Like, remember the Mikkel Williamson thing? I passed it off to you like right away. I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, but he sent like every single knife that he had though. That was like, I was expecting to maybe drop off a few of them. This is like every single one of his knives that he came out with. It's like, it's like, that's a lot.
At first, I was a little hurt at first in that pass around, because I was like, oh my, I got the stuff and I get it last. But then I was like, you know what? That was the wisest thing to do, because I would hold on to the stuff too long. And, you know, and I want people to, you know, advertise for Williamson Copenhagen and get the word out there for them. So back to the Solaris, man. The Kickstarter starts at 80, right?
What do you mean? Oh, $80, yes.
Yeah.
So that's $80 shipped domestically. I'm getting a few requests for international. The thing about that is international, where it's like, it's hard to get things shipped out to folks, and then it gets customs seized. And then also, like, for pricing wise, I looked up, like, for priority shipping international, it's like 27 to like 30 something bucks. So if people are really willing to, then I might add that in as far as the international side. But it's going to be $80 plus another 20 something to 30 something dollars. So that's where I just don't know if people will be interested in doing that for international. Plus it's just, it's just, I don't know how it's going to do that.
Yeah. You know, I was $80 a price point you were kind of like searching for? How did you end up on that number?
Yeah, 75 was actually the point when I was looking for. The manufacturing costs went up a little bit, so I did go from 75 to $80 shipped, which isn't a big jump, but it is something that I was shooting for 75 and got to 80. So that's not a really big, far jump from where I was going to initially. But that, I just wanted to keep it somewhat of budget, because then when I first started out, I mean, the Kershaw Skyline, which was like $40, was like, I'll never buy that knife. That's gonna be the only knife I'll ever own. And then it was like $40, and it's like, so now
you've broken that rule now.
Yeah, I've broken the world quite a bit from there. But I mean, that was like, I didn't want to deviate too far from that, so I still wanted to have it be open to folks that are starting out. Although a lot of people starting out will be like, well, that's too much to spend for a knife. But it also coming into, as far as the enthusiasts, as far as people that are really into it already, giving them an option to like try it out, be able to experience it. And then it just is a good budget option. It covers all the marks for it. It's good in hand. It's fidget factor. I mean, you're fidget. You're all about the fidget. So,
I'm all fidget. I'm all fidgety, man. Like I myself, I'm a fidgety person. Like whether I have a knife or not. But so let's talk about the specs of the knife a little bit, right? Like what blade steel are you using?
14C28, which is the Sandvik steel.
Yeah.
So that's Kershaw was using it forever.
A lot of rake knives, right?
Yep. They use it now, so it's still being used today. But it was used for a long time with them, and it was actually a steel that was manufactured for cutlery. So other than some of the other ones that are out there are kind of just steels that kind of utilized and moved into the cutlery world. 14C28 now was actually for knives and for cutlery.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's very refreshing to hear that. So it's a button lock, so you got that fidget factor. You've got the 14C28 in, the beloved budget steel that no one really has a bad thing to say about it. If they love budget knives, that's kind of like the choice, right? Because like no one wants to hear about D2 anymore. They're like,
well, that's the thing. That's the thing. People are still asking me, like, why didn't you go with D2? Because it still sells. So that's where I didn't want to just have a steel to stamp on there just to sell more. I wanted to give a good option, because then D2 is probably, as far as corrosion resistance, is probably like the 6th percentile, like not like past 10, it's 6. So as far as all the other knives out there, so people are just going to have like some of the knives that you experienced when it came from JT. I mean, they're rusty. You don't want to have that with it, so it kind of takes away from it. So that's why I want to go with something a little bit better corrosion resistance and actually a proven steel.
Yeah, you know, the thing is like if you ask an enthusiast, like not an expert, like someone that's like in that range, shopping for that range of knives, $50 to $100, they love 14C28N. Like I myself, like absolutely love that steel. It's easy to sharpen, and you know, it's just a nice steel, man. I like it. You know, if I was gonna have a choice of what budget steel I would want, that would be it, man.
Yeah, it's button. So it's button lock. It has a flipper. It has removable thumb studs. So if you don't like the thumb studs, take it off. If you don't like the flipper tab, I tell people a Dremel tool is easy. So just cut the thing off. It's like a little nub that you can cut off, and you can have no flipper tab as well. So a lot of different ways to open that.
Wow, that's cool. How many colors does it come into?
Yeah, so going to be the base G10 is going to be the scale. So it's going to be a black scale. On both sides, and then the accents is going to be the thing that you can choose. So it's either going to be red or blue is going to be the two options. So that's going to be the aluminum pivot collar and then the G10 backspacer, matching colors for that. And then that's going to be the options currently. And then if we can get fully funded, then I'm going to look at stretch goals. I'll probably have like a natural G10 for the handle scales, or possibly carbon fiber. But that's where we have to get to that first step. And then afterwards, we're going to go for those stretch goals.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Like, I really want this thing. It's like, I feel like you're one of us, man. You know, you're the Apex Pass Around group. You're part of like that core group of my like knife YouTuber friends. Like we all kind of started in a similar time and stuff like that. So when you were like, hey, I remember when you were posting on Instagram, like I'm designing this knife.
Yeah.
And like now we're here. Was it very difficult communicating? I've done some outsourcing before, and I even when I was outsourcing to the Philippines, and I speak like so many dialects, it was freaking hard, dude.
Yeah.
You know, like, so was that a difficult process?
It was, and that's where, I mean, I started the process back in, I think it was June 2019 is when I did the first sketch. And then I think I gave them the green light to go ahead November of 19, and it took a while. So that's one thing about the button lock. It's simplistic in its way it operates, but difficult to machine and get correct. So that's where it was kind of trying to meet in that middle point. So when I actually went to a SHOT Show, it still wasn't finalized. So we actually were still, I was trying to show them, I brought some button locks and I was like, okay, this is how I want it to operate. This is what it should look like. And then so when they're taking it back, it was just that point of just trying to get it to a point where I knew what it could do and for the fidget factor and for how it operates. And then so it's just kind of, it was their first button lock for QSP. So that's where it was just trying to get that kind of to meld together and to be actually what I was looking for.
Yeah, I you know, it's funny. I was just showing off the first QSP knife I ever got, and that was the Parrot.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, you know, this is a $20 knife and stuff, and you know, it doesn't get much better than that for $20. You know.
Well, now you have the Penguin, so.
The Penguin is pretty good too. How much is the Penguin right now?
Yeah, it's like $25-$30.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be micarta, and that one's the D2 though.
Yeah, you know, it's just crazy. I remember when I first got the Parrot, I was like, holy crap, man. Like, you know, because if you think about it, like the Camillus like keto is $20.
Yeah.
And I just did an unboxing of that, and like it doesn't even compare, like the quality. You know, so I like QSP, man. I think JT, when he was on the podcast, he said that he really likes how they just go for it. You know what I mean? They're not following trends. They're doing all this kind of like wild shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, and I have to get back with him too, as far as getting something out to get something else going. So I'm going to be getting out probably the Hawk, and then there will be maybe a fixed blade coming around from them as well.
From the Apex? For the Apex, you mean?
Yeah.
How is that now, by the way? Like, I've noticed some new members, and I'm just like, sometimes I'm seeing people, like, I chat with people on Instagram, and then I'm like, oh shit, you're in Apex. I didn't even know that. Like, you know, is how many people do we have now?
I think we're like 38. I don't think we broke 40 yet now, but we're getting up there. So that's where some people are still not as, they're not as involved now. So
I understand.
Some of the people that are kind of busy, but that's where it's kind of that ebb and flow of things. So now we kind of get new people in, some people kind of go out, and that's where I brought basically Sean from Gear Towards Gears coming out of retirement to actually review the knife. So that's kind of a cool thing.
Oh yeah. Cool. That's very cool. Very cool, man.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about like stopping YouTube? Have you ever had thoughts like that?
Oh yeah, I mean it happens because then it's just a matter of kind of just looking at things and it's just like, and then sometimes you don't feel like you're getting the growth because then like people bypass me like well past, like even if they started like much earlier than me or much later than me, and then they just bypass me. It's just like, well, what am I doing wrong? But then like I try and go back to, I think what you do is just like, well, what do I want to learn, or what do I want to do, what do I want to share, and kind of go back to kind of the roots of things, because that's where you just got to enjoy it. And that's where I think I got to get better about just scheduling. So that's where I put pressure on myself, because sometimes I'm recording, editing, and posting like the same day instead of actually just having that thing. Yeah.
That's tough. Do you post how many times? Once a week, you think?
I try to do at least once a week, but I normally try to do 2. So I was getting down to like a Monday, Friday type of scheduling to get the actual videos out there. So I was kind of throwing in unboxing or the actual review.
Once a week is good, man. You know, like what my channel has turned into, and it's gotten pretty comfortable, the schedule. Even though I work 6 days, I'm able to edit at the shop, which is like a huge advantage, right? So even though the pay cut, I had to do it because we're starting a business. Doing pretty well, by the way. Shout out to Ayla CBD. Like, you know, I'm able to, during the downtime, I could like edit a video. So I'll record a video in the morning, and then maybe if I want to release it that night, like I released an unboxing today of this freaking thing that Civivi sent us, man.
Yeah, I know. I still didn't get one yet, so I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
Going on. I mean, I literally just posted the QSP Parrot like 2 days ago on my Instagram, and I was like, cannot get better than this for $20. And then you get this monster for $28.50. It's got weight reduction, recessed screws. It's got ATR 14 MOV, ATR 13's older brother. Like what the
Yeah, I think that's some of the roots. So like that's one thing that I kind of have an issue with CVV on is like they're kind of pushing into weird territory in some sense, where it's kind of melting too much. Where they when they first came out, they were like, okay, well, we're going to run titanium pocket clips and offer it for like $50-$60, and now they're like into the $100 range and kind of pushing things a little bit more.
Yeah, but then this one is like $28.50. I'm like,
what the
heck?
And that was named by, I think it was an Instagram thing where you can then kind of name it. So they actually chose one of the names from that posting. Yeah, Fracture.
I was like, all right, pretty cool, man. Yeah. So how is you've been working this whole time? You've been working like physically going out or working from home?
No, I've been going out and then working. So that's kind of, there hasn't been too much of a change. I think I was out of work for about 2 weeks on furlough, and then I went back to work and kind of been just doing that, had reduced hours for a bit. And then now I'm kind of back to a regular full-time work schedule.
Has it been weird being out, man? You know, in New York City, it is wild out here, dude. It is like, I can't say like I don't feel safe, because living in New York City and when you're outside, you always have to be aware, right? There's no relaxation ever. But now it's like people are just crazier. Like I've lived there since 1987, and something is always like getting me high alert, you know. And I think if I wasn't like taking CBD every day, I'd be freaking out, bro.
Well, I mean, that's one thing. I mean, are you gonna do like a secondary shop? I mean, that's the kind of thing you started out with them, and you're gonna kind of build it up, maybe have a secondary shop.
It's doing good now. Things have kind of like picked up since the quarantine, believe it or not. I think people have started taking their health more seriously, and they're just looking for things to boost their immune system that is natural. You know what I mean? And CBD does that. I'm not saying it's a cure for COVID, even though there are studies being done on that right now, that CBD is good for COVID treatment and prevention. They're like studying it right now because it brings down inflammation in the lungs and shit like that. Because it naturally is one of the best things to fight inflammation. So, but yeah, what was I getting to this? Oh yeah, like New York City is just wild right now.
Oregon's been kind of interesting, where it's just like it was less traffic before, and so traffic started to pick up again with everything kind of opening back up. And then I mean there's like all the riots in Portland, so I'm not in Portland, I'm down in Salem, so it's like I don't have to deal with all that up there. But it just, I don't know, it's just kind of a crazy time. It's kind of living a point of history where like my kids are going to learn about this stuff in school. Their kids are going to learn about 2020 in their school, and it's just a really odd time to be in.
Damn. So you're in Salem, right? Are people just like, shh, we did the burning people at the stake thing a long time ago. You guys are too late.
No, that's the other side of the country, though.
Okay.
That's Salem, Massachusetts. Yeah, little different. Yeah.
I'm not a geographical Asian. It's like I heard the name and I was like, it could either be cigarettes, cigarettes, or the place where they burnt people at the stake.
Yeah. Little different. I mean, that might not be on like the sign for like visitation. It says, "Oh yeah, place in Salem witch hunt." But, man, it's been a process for everything that goes on, but there's a lot to learn. I mean, like, I guess down to like the little details. That's one thing that I knew there's going to be a lot going into creating a brand, but it's down to like, if you ever pick up like the box that you get a knife on, and look at like the wording on it, it's like, oh, that should be one point bigger. Like that's what it's down to, as far as like what you have to look at and go, okay, well, I want to put this here, put that there. I want this font to be just a little bit smaller. Yeah. I mean, that's a box. Like that's like not even the knife.
It's important though, too. You know, presentation is really important. I mean, it depends, man. Sometimes the knife can kind of like give you enough of that joy, right? Yeah. Like, you know, I mean, I love Tucson knives, and like their presentation is total garbage.
Oh yeah, it's total horrible. Like,
but then you see this unique thing, and you know how little you paid for it.
Yeah.
And it's like this design that you're not gonna find anywhere else. You're like, whoa.
Yeah, because they don't even put their model numbers on the box. So it's just
they handwrite the thing like TS165.
Yeah, so that's the thing about it. So I mean, like for the box set that we have for the Orion Solaris is unique to the knife. So it's not taking a current box and then just putting the knife in it. It's made specifically for the knife. The cutouts for the knife. I actually am probably gonna do a pocket pen. I don't know if you know what a pocket pen is.
Yeah. I carry one every day.
Yeah.
Kind of like a Fisher Space Pen for people that don't know what it is.
But it's plastic, so I think I have one with me.
It's really good to put in an EDC kit if like you can't afford a Fisher, for example, or if you don't want to lose a Fisher. It's the same shape. Awesome.
Yeah, so I carry this because like I used to lose Bic pens all the time, and then now I have a really bright pen. So if somebody takes my pen, I actually know who has it. So I mean, this is kind of the pen that's in there. So this is going to be will be in the slot, because then on the box, if you go to Instagram, there's actually a little slot, and like I wasn't going to put anything in the slot initially because that was for kind of after sales service, where it's actually going to be okay if you buy the knife and then you're going to buy like another backspacer and pivot collar. I'll put that into the slot. But then I was thinking there's going to be too many questions of like, well, what's the slot for? And then it's like, well, it's for later. Yeah. So this is going to be in the slot, and I'm looking at getting it custom printed. So it'll be like Orion Knives, and then probably the logo on the other side.
And so Pocket Pens is cool with that?
I'm going through Pocket Pen, and then they actually set me up with their people that do the custom printing. So it is through them. It's USA made. So if you want to support a USA made company, Pocket Pen is USA made. The knife is not. I tried to find, and that's one thing also, like I tried to find an OEM in the US.
It's hard, huh?
Not done. Like it's very difficult to find somebody. They're just too busy with their own knives. So that's kind of another topic for things, but they're just really busy with their own products, which is good that they're busy, but it just doesn't allow for people to come in and go, okay, well, this is my design. Can you make it? It's like, no, we can't, because we're working on our own stuff.
We need like an Elon Musk of the knife world to just like build a factory for the little people in America for like small makers, yo.
Oh yeah,
or
it has
Elon,
to be
get on that, yo.
Yeah, it has to be really. Yeah, it has to be really. Because the hard part is like even the transportation. So even if you had like different factories, okay, this one makes screws, this one makes the scales, this one makes the blade, heat treat, then you're gonna have to ship it all and then put it all together in one place. So it just the cost is gonna it can't compete. So maybe about a $200 knife is probably where the U.S. manufacturing would end up. It's like 200 plus is kind of that place to play in.
Yeah. I mean, that's I was sourcing like furniture and like doorknobs and fixtures and things like that, like high end ones. Yeah. And we just couldn't do it in America. It was like impossible for the cost. And this is like high end stuff. So rich people were buying it, and we still
we're
would
having
have to
trouble
charge
moving the
too
US
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would have to charge too much if we were making like wild shit, like elephant doorknobs, like elephant fate, like, you know, like wild stuff. And like I was going to the Philippines with like waxes, and I'm like, hey, can you make this?
Oh, awesome.
And yeah, it's very interesting, man. It's funny.
You have a lot of different jobs there.
Yeah, it's funny. Like in the Philippines, that's where the Bali song came from, right? And like the knife fighting arts is basically like born there, like a lot of it, right? But it's like I don't see a lot of like folding knife, like people coming out of there. You know what I'm saying? I think
you think there should be,
yeah. I think the Cebu from where was the Cebu from? Is that Artisan or?
Yeah, I'm not even sure.
Tuya Knife. It's Tuya Knife.
Oh,
Tuya Knife Cebu. Yeah, I think that dude was a Filipino designer.
Nice.
Dude, what have you been doing this? Do you have a lot of free time usually, or are you just working like nonstop?
No, I mean, I went from a salary life to an hourly life. So that's something that is fantastic. So it's a little bit better for family and everything. And then one of them that's coming by, Mr. Schmogs, just walked in front of the computer.
I see a child. I see a child. Hey, what's up, buddy? He's on the podcast.
Camera. Yep.
He's running away.
Yeah, we call him. Normally on any podcast or any video that I do with him, I normally call him Schmogs, Bonds, and Mace. Not their real names, but that's what I go by when I have them on video if they're looking at knives, talking about stuff.
It's adorable, man. Is that what you've been doing mostly in your free time? Like, what do you do aside from spending time with the wife and the kiddos? Like, do you watch TV? Do you watch movies or anything? Like, what are you into? You got a big movie collection in the back there.
Yeah, a big movie collection. So, I mean, we look at those sometimes. We still have Netflix, Hulu, those type of channels. And then I got to get back into games. I want to get Final Fantasy VII remake.
Oh, the remake. Yeah.
Because but I have a Wii U. So I'm kind of behind the times a lot. So they don't have a lot of games for it, and I still play that every now and then. Also with the kids on that. But yeah, I want to get PlayStation.
You got to get the Switch, dude.
No, I got to get a PlayStation so I can get Final Fantasy VII remake. That's the only game that I want to buy it for. And then of course there's gonna be other ones.
I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima right now, which is on the PS4, and it's basically an open world samurai game. And I am so in love with it. I mean, I have been behind. I announced like, hey, I'm going to make a Patreon like 3 weeks ago. And I never did because this game just landed in my lap. My friend who's in the industry was like, here's a code. You can get the game for free. And it's like $7.
Yeah, you might as well.
So I don't normally play single player games because Kelly and I like to play together. Started playing it. And dude, I have been bringing my PS4 to the shop every day.
Nice.
And I've been playing this game. So it's like, the Apex pass around and people sending knives for me to check out so I could react to them on YouTube has saved my channel because I mostly do unboxings and this podcast at the moment,
Well, you can diversify. You can have like the cat videos and people love
cats,
so
I do. You know what's crazy? Carlos EDC, Big Red EDC, and myself are like at the helm of knife TikTok, man. Like we're making knife videos on TikTok and we like duet with each other and stuff. And what I noticed is with this knife right here, the Centauri, right? From Artisan, I actually did a TikTok video of me like flipping it and showing the, just like the beauty of it and stuff. And it didn't get taken down. No copyright. I think maybe they're changing their tune, man. Yeah, Carlos EDC has been putting out pocket thumb videos, and Big Red has just been, kind of like just showing the knife with like some music behind it and stuff. And I'm like, oh man,
very cool. I don't think I'm gonna go to TikTok though. Like I don't know, still not for me.
I think here's my prediction on that. Right? I thought the same thing. I was like, I'm not gonna do. I've never once done a silly dance on TikTok. Right? Yeah. I do EDCC stuff on TikTok, and I've gotten some followers on YouTube, like from TikTok, that came over, and vice versa. Nice. And I think what's gonna happen is one, it's either gonna go away because social media platforms go away, or two, one of the social media platforms is gonna fall off. Instagram or something like that, and that is going to be the emerging platform. That's what happens with all these things, you know, and like
there might be a buyout too, and they'll
yeah,
kind of merge into the parent company.
I mean, Instagram is making like a TikTok type thing. I forgot what it's called. I think it's called like reels or something, like a film reel. I think that's what it's called. I don't know if I'm mistaken or not, but it's basically the same thing where you just do it like real quick. You could like the page, you could subscribe to the page, you could comment all on one screen. Same as TikTok, same editing, same everything, you know? Yeah, so maybe that's gonna happen. But it's cool, you know, to explore these alternative things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's always something to take up time and kind of connect with folks.
Yeah, so you know, back to the topic of like, have you ever thought about stopping YouTube, right? Like, is the hardship like just growth, or like maybe you're in a speed bump with the creativity? And
I mean, I think it is. Then, well, time and this creativity side, because then I really got into like the stop motion. I haven't done it in a long time, but I did some cool stop motion stuff when I was doing kind of the intro. I was like, okay, that's gonna be a cool thing to do. And then I ran out of things to do. I'm like, well, what else am I gonna do with that? And then it came to, I guess it's like kind of needing kind of like how a perfume store has like the bottle of coffee beans. You have to kind of refresh a little bit. You kind of see things and you're like, yeah, I saw that already. And like, I'm not really excited about it, but I have it. I'm going to talk about it. But there wasn't anything that's like really a wow factor about the product. I'm just like,
You mean like the knife wise, like knives?
Yeah, the knife wise and everything. Yeah.
For me, it gets like I get a hint of staleness from the content that I'm making, and then I get like kind of upset, you know, with myself. I'm like, I don't want to, you know. But then what ended up happening was there's so much like audience interaction now, and really people just send in knives so I can unbox them and act like a total idiot, and they get a joy out of it. And I say funny things. You know, I'm not even wearing pants. Like, and they like love that because, you know, I didn't have an AC like last week. So I was just like, I'm not wearing pants again. And you guys can't even tell. And they just like love it, you know, like, and I think that's why.
I think that's finding that niche to it. Because then I think like, even if I had like went back to like having like under 100 subscribers, if there was that interaction, that's something that's really good. Because sometimes like you put up a video and then like you kind of see, well, maybe it didn't do as well, or maybe you don't get as many comments. So it's just like, okay, well, what am I doing with that? So having that type of interaction that you're getting is something that's really good, because it kind of lets you know that somebody's watching. You can have some type of conversation. So it actually has some type of fulfillment to it.
I think the lives and the podcast, man, I keep saying this. What's the timestamp on this? It's about 30 minutes. I'm going to talk about podcasting again.
Nice.
That is where it came from. I did not mean to build this interaction. I just started doing the podcast, and then I would, you know, like maybe go on Twitter, and then somebody will message me and be like, yo, I watch your podcast, I love it. Or I'll go on Facebook and join like a Facebook group that someone suggests to me, and then I introduce myself, and they're like, dude, I love your show. And I'm like, I don't even think of this as a show. This is just something I like do. I like talking to you. I like talking to you. I like talking to my friends. I'm talking to Jimmy Slash this Thursday. I forgot about him. And then his video popped up on my YouTube feed, and I was like, I can't believe I never asked him to be on, you know?
Yeah. And that's something that's really good, because I think that's where you always say like everybody start their own, but it's just like to make that connection and schedule the time and then to do those things. That's what I would have a problem with. Like, I don't mind the conversation. I really love the conversations, but to actually get that time and like lock it down, it's like, all right, I'm going to be there, and then this person put that together. It's just hard that way.
Yeah, and you know, this week I didn't even know if we'd be able to get you in, because Carlos EDC was supposed to be the guest this week.
Yeah,
but I'm
get bumped, did he?
I'm bumping him off for you.
No.
He'll understand. He'll understand.
Oh, yeah.
We're working for a friend. We're trying to get your knife, trying to spread the word out there.
Yeah.
He's gonna get it, man. He's a really cool dude.
So right now we're at 42% funded or backed as of making this video. So so if we can just push it over, because it kind of it just really hope it goes well. It's a good start. and then just gotta kind of keep with the momentum, push it up, and get to that goal, and then kind of push past. Because I can't produce it if it doesn't meet the goal. Because basically that's ground zero. So I'm not making any profit up to that goal. So it's just to get it produced, shipped to me, produce the box, ship to me, and then ship everything out. So there's no profit margin or anything. It's just maybe that passion project type of thing that hopefully can make something out of it and kind of move on from there.
How many people have checked it out so far? I know that we have an Apex Pass Around thread on it, and have people put out videos for it yet?
Yeah, and there's been quite a few. Even I don't have the exact channels that checked it out, but there's probably the dog's barking. But then that's about probably 8.
It'd be funny if you were like, my son is like calling for me.
Yeah. But no, there's quite a few people that have checked it out already. So if you go to the website for Orion Knives, there's actually the reviews tab, and that's everybody that's checked it out so far. I don't want to go through the names because I'm going to miss somebody, but there's quite a few people that checked out. And the good thing about it is that out of everybody that checked it out, there wasn't anybody that said like throw it away, like don't bring that out. It's horrible. It's been like, well, it would be good if you kind of tweak this little thing here. Preference-wise, I would change this a little bit, but there hasn't been anything that was just horrible. So that's one thing that's kind of rewarding in a sense. I gotta get my dog. My dog's pretty old, so I have a miniature Australian Shepherd, and she is like 12 years old, getting a little bit of mobility issues.
CBD, dude.
So yeah, I might have to.
Let me know. Let me know because we do have a sale on dog treats right now. Because remember when the fireworks were going on?
Yeah.
In New York City, they didn't stop, dude. They were going on every day, all day long for like a month. Yeah. The dogs were just cowering in fear, like a lot of them. So droves of people just came in the shop like looking for CBD dog treats to calm them down. Like we have CBD oil for dogs too.
I might have to hit you up on that, because then her mobility is really bad. And so I mean, she's 12 years old now. Yeah. And then just already on regular medicine for as far as that goes.
It definitely helps, and it's like a natural thing. It doesn't really mess with any other medications except for like blood thinners, and you're not giving your dog that. No. Yeah, but it really helps. I've seen like a big change, like when an old timer dog comes in the shop, because we allow dogs to come in, and I'm just chatting with their owner, and we give them a treat, and then they kind of you could just tell there's like a change in demeanor, like after like 20 minutes or something like that.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So it's pretty cool, man. We go back to the movie thing. Like, are you watching a lot of stuff? Like, do you not have time? I mean,
no, I do have time, and that's one thing about being hourly. So I'm actually home a lot more with family. I guess I didn't really realize how much I was gone, as far as hours, as well as like mentally, as far as like I'm still thinking about other things when I was doing a salary job. So that's where it's kind of nice to kind of have that breakaway and actually do something else.
Yeah, like what do you do? Like, do you watch a lot of like family movies or something? Is that like...
we're watching like Adam Savage builds. No, we're doing.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Oh yeah, it's really cool. And then we're doing Forge and Fire. I found out there's a guy that actually was in Salem too. So I reached out to him. So he has a little thing that you can actually go and actually forge a knife. He does that type of stuff. So it's actually kind of interesting. Might do that. Maybe sometime later this year, maybe next year.
Dude, Forged in Fire is like a pretty fun show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the kids like it too.
Yep. And then they got a Filipino guy in there, man. Doug Marcaida, bro. Yeah, Doug Marcaida is Filipino, man.
Or it will kill.
Yeah, it will kill. It will cut. He says the same thing, and he says it like so Filipino too. Oh man. So let me ask you this: like, what have you been carrying lately? Since you don't have, you told me you didn't have a prototype of the Orion. How many do you have going out right now? How many?
I have a total of 4 that I had produced. I had one go over to Jack Farmboy, which is also Gearhouse Media. So the video, the photos that are on there are all Gearhouse Media. So if you guys need to get that type of service, then reach out to him on Instagram. So he helped me out to get those things going. So one's with him, 2 are going around, and then I sent out a 3rd one to a few people, and then I probably should have kept on to it because I need to finalize some things and I need to get back in hand. So after it's with Sean, it'll come back to me and I'll finalize everything, and I'll probably send it out again.
Because I saw Zach had it, right?
Yeah, Zach had it, and so that's where it started from. So that was actually, I was able to meet up with him, and I had it on me, and I let him take a look at it.
Oh shit!
So that was the one I had.
Wow,
so
you guys met up. I'm jealous, man. What the hell?
Yeah. So I mean, he's up in Oregon City area.
Yeah.
So I'm in Salem. So.
How did you feel about that like Blade Show cancellation thing? I mean, I saw that coming from a mile away. I was like,
it was coming. I mean, if with how much the city blew up and everything else, I mean, it just, it's not a good time for it. No, so I mean, it's a big loss to the community, big loss to the Blade Show, all the vendors. So it's really hard for the whole industry in that sense.
Yeah.
But it was coming. It was like, it's not going to work. I mean, and so many people weren't going. So all the, like, even though people don't like Chinese brands, like the Chinese brands weren't going. So it would have been a very interesting show.
Well, it would have been even more interesting if the Chinese brands did go and all the exhibitors are wearing hazmat suits except for Greg Medford.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I'm not wearing a mask.
Yeah, definitely interesting guy. I mean, he has a new slip joint too. That's kind of interesting that he came out with.
I don't normally touch that stuff. You know what I mean? A lot of people ask me about it. You know, and I tend to stay away from the drama. You know what I mean? I just kind of steer away from it, but I do think it's funny. And that was just my little jab at it. You know what I'm saying? If Blade Show did happen, everyone's wearing protective gear except the Medford booth. Like,
it'll be interesting to see how next year goes. So as long as things happen and everything, it should be able to kick back up. And actually, still be a good time.
I think the virus is just always going to be around. We're just not going to be affected the way we were initially. And
it'll be interesting. And it's hard. You can't really tell even now, like what's real and what wasn't real, because then there's both sides will say, well, it's it's this worse and it's going to get worse, and it's like, well, it never was, and everybody's fine if you're not 60 years old. So that's kind of, you get both sides of it. So I can't really tell, and nobody's going to back down. It's going to be like, no, I'm right and you're wrong. And
I'm in New York. Right. I'm in New York City, and a lot of people here think that we should stay closed, right?
Oh, wow.
But I think that we need to open back up because the ramifications, and I forgot what I was talking about this with, maybe it was mild-mannered EDC, the consequences of an even longer shutdown, I'm already seeing them right now.
Yeah.
I see more poor people. I see more people on drugs, just begging for money, just that some people I'm like, bro, you're wearing like Jordans, but then they're like, I lost my, I believe them though, because people are not making money right now. I'm lucky enough to be in a business where I can still make money and I still go to work every day. A lot of people are not able to do that, Oh
yeah. It's hard with it. I mean, you still don't want to have the loss of life, and like, it's still horrible if that's the cause. But you can't, it's never going to be totally like, okay, well, you can't open unless everyone's safe. Like, nobody's ever going to be safe, every single person. So it's impossible.
Like, what's crazy is like Kelly has only been doing virtual training sessions for personal training through Equinox. She hasn't worked gyms are closed. So she's just been personal training through Zoom, actually, what we're using right now. She has clients, I think, Monday through Friday. So she makes a little bit of money on that, and she still gets money from unemployment because she's technically not working.
Good.
And but she's into what is your wife into, man? Because my girl is like into plants now. She's been in quarantine. She flips plants, like she sells them.
Interesting.
And she's doing like awesome.
Good.
She just started her Instagram like 2 weeks ago. She's almost at 500 followers already. She's already sold like so many plants, like through Etsy. She's got an Etsy site. She's imported from Korea. Like,
wow.
Follow Happy Go Sucky, by the way, on Instagram. That's not a sexual thing. That's succulents. Okay? It's a funny play on words, but
she's your business person though. I mean, you gotta like have her work out your contract deals and everything.
Yeah, it's so funny because I had to have the conversation with her, but I was like, you have to have a podcast. No, because I looked up on YouTube as like, succulent podcasts or whatever, and there's none, right? And I just, because she was asking me like, what should I do? And I was like, you want to go really fast? posts 3 times a day on Instagram and posts stories every day, and she's growing so fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny. She's gonna do a podcast on Thursday.
Oh, awesome.
You know, but yeah, man, it's a really cool thing. Like that's what she's into right now. She's like selling plants, and I just wonder like how many of the EDC community wives like are into this thing, because it's like a big thing. My brother's wife bought plants from her. She's like, oh, I've always wanted to be into that. I'm like,
yeah, no, like, I mean, my wife does like a lot of the little adult coloring books. So the ones were more intricate, not like the little kids books.
Yeah.
So she does those.
I will use the little kids books.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, but games on her tablet, things like those things. So it's and then also planning for vacation. So we're probably gonna do a road trip.
Yeah.
Here in probably a month or maybe 2 months. So we're gonna try and do a road trip. So that's kind of a fun thing to plan.
Do you guys go like camping or something, or like what do you guys?
No, not really camping. No, we kind of just have a destination, and then so we drive to that whatever city and actually drive around, because a lot of times when you just go and pick up a hotel, you're like, well, that looks nice. You get there, it's like horrible. Like I would not stay here. I don't feel safe. So then that's where we drive to the city, drive around, and actually, okay, well, where do we want to stay? And then we see a hotel, we park in the parking lot, call the hotel. You guys have any openings? Yes, no, and if they do, then we just stay there. That's kind of the way that we do that. It backfired on us twice. One in Montana and one in like the wine country in California. We just couldn't find a hotel at all.
Wow. Yeah, my mom loves to plan vacations for the family, man. She has a timeshare thing with Wyndham, like the resort, right? So like we just pick a resort like near wherever we want to go, and we get to stay there. I could even go to like Vegas, and we have a timeshare there. She pays for it. I don't know what's going on with that now though, right? Because you can't really like travel. My mom was had a ticket to the Philippines, and they canceled all flights.
Well,
yeah, so you can't get in if you're elderly. No, it's like weird if you're like of a certain. I don't really remember what she said, but she's like basically I can't go because certain age. Like you can't travel from the US. So it's just wild out there right now, you know? But yeah, man, dude, the Solaris.
Yep.
What else do you want to say about it? You know, aside from what we've talked about already. Like
I think that's where I also want to get
experience making it, like any cool stories.
It's been just really cool to see it kind of come to production level, or at least prototype level at this point, because like so many times you start with an idea and you never really get it to that point. It's like, well, this would be cool if I could do this, but then it's been a struggle. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's been something that's kind of, I have to learn everything, like even doing like the bulk mailers and the website and all those things. It's just a lot of learning. So reaching out to even Monterey Bay Knives, like it was kind of cool to kind of be able to talk to folks and say, what do you use for shipping? What do you use for your label?
Oh, so you did talk to other makers.
Yeah,
right?
that's one thing that's kind of nice about it, as far as being able, and that's one thing about the knife community. It seems like most people are pretty open to it. They're just not like, no, that's my thing. I don't want you to get into my business. They actually are open to it and say, this is what I use. This is what I use for shipping. This is what I use. Even a thermal printer I picked up was a recommendation from Monterey Bay Knives. It's like, this is a thermal printer I use. And then I picked it up. So that's kind of how that went. So it's kind of building basically all those little baseline things. So if this is successful, then I can actually bring out different products afterwards, and I'll already have the baseline done. So that's kind of been building that foundation to actually have something that can kind of continue on if it can actually work.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, it's hard, but it's fun. It's hard, but it's.
How did you decide on the logo?
The logo itself, I talk about the website too. My kids, I have 3 boys. I have triplet boys. So
I was going to ask. I recall you saying you had triplets.
Yeah. So they're all the same age. So there's all 6. So terrible 2s, I don't agree with that at all. It's like terrible 5, terrible 6, because that's where they have an idea of having their own destiny. Like it's like you can't just say do this and then they go yes. You do this, and it's like, why? I would rather do this. So that's where that age group is a little bit difficult. But basically, them, I remembered when we would go outside sometimes, and then they'd be like just so excited about like it's like Orion, the constellation, Orion's belt.
Okay.
And so that's where it kind of worked into that, and that's where I was going to name the model originally Orion, and then I made the brand Orion. Then I was kind of stuck because then I didn't have a name for the knife, so it took a while, and I was actually asking the community, and I forgot the name of the person, but he goes by Hollywood something. Actually recommended Solaris. That was out of the grouping that recommended. So I was like, yeah, that actually works pretty well. Kind of bounced around a little bit and decided on that. But the logo itself is the 3 stars. So basically, I have 3 boys, 3 stars.
Yeah.
Kind of went along with that, and then the constellation and kind of
That's
where
awesome.
everything connected.
You could make a line of like just constellation-y kind of astrological theme.
Yeah, and that's where
I like
Solaris. Yeah, Solaris. I really decided on that because it was kind of like when it's a Latin word and it's of the sun. So that's where kind of everything else, other products and everything else would kind of orbit around this knife. So I don't want to change the knife necessarily. It's kind of going to be kind of that baseline like the Rat 2, Rat 1. So it'll be basically Orion Knives Solaris will kind of always be there. At least the plan is to have it always be there.
Wow, man. Dude, that's crazy. So now when it comes to the Solaris, right? What scale options do you have currently right now?
Currently, it's just the Black G10. So I didn't want to go too crazy as far as offering like 16 different options and all that stuff. One, the manufacturing wouldn't allow me to do that.
Yeah.
Second, it's just way too many because you're going to have like 2 people that want this way and the other 5 people want this way, 50 people want it this way. It's just too many options. So I want to get it off the ground, get it into people's hands first. And then with it being kind of a modular item, you can, okay, well, now I want this type of scale, or now I want that type of scale, that different type of pivot collar and backspacer. And then if it works, I'm going to also look at the cost of doing a modular blade and handle scale. So if, like for you, it has to pass the palm test.
Yes.
This one might
What's
not.
the blade length on the Solaris, by the way?
It's basically, depends on where you measure it. At the top of it, it's a 3.17. Bottom is about 3.25. So that's where, depends on where you measure that knife.
Yeah.
But for folks that need to have a shorter knife, basically the lock and everything else would be modular, all the parts. And then I'll just change the scales and the blade. And then you can have either a large knife.
And a person can just do that.
Yeah. And then you can have a large knife or you can have a small knife. So I'm going to see what the cost is. So first we have to get the funding. So about 42% now. So if we can get to 100%, then we can kind of look at those stretch goals, other things there. And then once produced, then I'll look at doing that type of modular setup.
That's interesting. I don't know of any other company doing that right now. It's usually just scale options. But no one says, hey, I'm making a new blade shape, like a Warney Solaris. I mean, you know what I'm saying, right? Like it's kind of a cool idea.
Yeah, and I think it would work. I just don't know by cost-wise if it would be easier just to produce a whole new knife. But for the people that have, like, okay, well, I bought the original Solaris, and then you're coming out with this other knife, and say, well, instead of buying a new knife, just buy the scales and the handle.
Or like hardware or something, like, you know.
Yeah, or if you want the S35 blade and you bought the 14C28, well, here's the new blade, just put it in your knife.
And it's like lowering what you would have to pay instead of buying a whole
instead of buying a whole new knife, you're still having to buy the blade, but you also have a spare blade if you want to sell it off or do anything else.
That's interesting. That's really not being done right now.
Yeah, so that's the plan for it, if that is feasible. So that's kind of where I've been thinking about for kind of having that extra large or that small within that range.
That's a pretty cool idea, man. I like that. Let me ask you this: like, what EDC like item do you carry that's not a knife that like you have to have every day? Like a light or something, or?
Yeah, I have my light, and then I have the pop-off leather that I brought out earlier. So
like a wallet?
No, it's a little slip.
Okay. Oh, shit! Cool.
Yeah,
what's on the inside? What's that?
Yeah, it's a Kershaw pub.
Oh, I have. I was going like this, reaching for my neck because I usually have it on a necklace. Yeah, I carry that every day.
All like pocket lint and everything else.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite like knives ever because I always have it on me. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
I
It's
mean, it
so
has
useful.
the pry bar, it has the
Mhm.
bottle opener, it's
Yeah.
just really good, and it just fits into that slip. So
I've
that's
used
all
that pry bar
handmade.
as a flathead like many times.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's
this is what I carry every day,
mhm.
and then I added this in as far as the
Yeah.
little light.
Which one is that?
This is the mass drop one, or drop, I guess it is now.
Yeah.
So drop light, this titanium,
Mhm.
and then it just has 3 modes.
Yeah. Have you do you have any discussions with Massdrop? I know that they've done
Yeah,
stuff with us before.
yeah, we have one going around now as far as the Gareth Bull,
Yeah. Oh,
Mira.
I opted
Yeah,
for that
Mira.
one.
Yeah, it's
The knife
pretty.
that made everyone angry.
It's
You know,
pretty,
and then the bombshell came out. This and made everyone angry again.
yeah, yeah, it's
Oh
very
man.
pretty. Now
Yeah.
for that knife, it's not the I think the Shamwari
Yeah.
is the one that like everybody likes, but then
Yeah,
the
yeah. Oh
Miura,
wait, that's not what we have. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was the
yeah,
Shamwari by We,
yeah,
right? The one
yeah,
that I mean,
Shamwari is what they call it, I guess.
again. I was
But
kidding.
yeah, yeah, but the Miura is it was really off of Bob's knife, Bob Terrazula or Terrazzo.
Yeah, yeah, I know the name.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's it was basically based off of one of his designs. So Bob actually signed off on it before it went to drop. So it wasn't a matter of stealing designs or anything like that. So no, it's a really nice knife.
Mhm.
I found it to be a little slick
Yeah.
because it's so pretty. It's polished as far as the carbon fiber, but yeah, it's a nice front flipper.
Did you get the Williamson Copenhagen knives yet?
Yeah, I already had it. So I think I was first to get it because then they actually dropped
You
it off
were?
at SHOT Show.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So
And
I
you got
actually bought
to
a Ready.
oh, the Red E. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Ready, and that's the one. That's kind of one thing that I learned from having the Ready
Mhm.
is any knife that I make, I will probably want a little bit of space above the pocket clip,
Yeah.
because that's the first knife while fidgeting with it, I went and cut my fingertip. Because like
Really?
normally my hand wraps around a little bit, and so I'm flipping it back and forth,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
I'm in the car. And then like it just fell down and like chopped the tip
how
of my
bad?
finger. And like it didn't fall off. I mean, it like cut maybe like two thirds of the way through. Fingertips grow back, by the way, but it cut like 2/3 of the no 1/3 of the way through my
Yeah.
fingertip. And I was like,
Holy-
it's like, how did that even happen? And I'm like
Yeah.
looking at it, and it's like, because then my finger wrapped just around a little bit over that
Yeah.
pocket clip, and the
And
pocket
you
clip
went
is
like
just, and the pocket clip is right in, almost lined up with that
Mhm.
that opening. So it was
You-
kind of one of those things where I didn't think about before that.
I've cut myself with the Red E like too, but I love that knife. If I was gonna choose right now actually for the price point, like that is
Mhm.
on the front lines of like one of my favorites for the year
No,
for me.
yeah, for I think the main thing that sets that one apart is, oh, my dog.
Wants to be on the podcast.
I might gotta grab her.
Yeah.
But
Well, we're gonna be ending here soon. We've done like over an hour already, you know. But
yeah,
go
but the
ahead.
Ready, the sound itself for the Ready
Oh.
is what sets it apart. That
Yes.
click clack. Oh man, that like there's something about the sound of that knife,
It's like
and that's
shing,
something that
you know,
yeah,
like
that's something
man.
that you can't really put into, even if the design looked like totally horrible. If it had
Yeah.
that sound, it would probably sell still.
Yeah, like I just have never heard that really before
Yeah.
from a knife, and it's not sloppy sounding. You know
No.
what I mean? I think they did a really good job with that one. Plus the price is like you can get it for like $6 to $8 in some
Oh,
places.
yeah, nice.
So I'm like, what is going on right now?
Yeah,
You
yeah, it's
know?
really good. And that's
Yeah.
one thing that like there's certain things that that make up a knife, and the sound of it is one of those factors.
Yeah. Dude, we did an hour. Is there anything that you want to tell the people before we get going? I'm gonna say it again before we close out with David's comment here. If whoever backs the Solaris the most that's watched this podcast, send us a screen cap. We're gonna do a whole thing, and then I'll give you some, or like if you want airtime on the podcast, I'll be willing to do that. If you want to make a video with me, something cool, creative that you're never going to get anywhere else, I'm willing to do that. So anything you want to tell the people, man?
Yeah, just talking about the knife. I mean, if I just want to get it produced, get it into folks' hands, and actually get to that final ending point, it's what you get with it. $80. Oh, what am I? Oh, Diane. No, $80. So you get $80 shipped domestically. That's what you get. You get the knife. You get the box that's specifically made for the knife. You get a pocket pen with it, which I'm working on, which is probably going to be 100% there. You get a sticker that's going to be just for the Kickstarter. You do not get that any other time. So if you order the knife and get a backer sticker, that's going to be the only time you're going to get that exclusive sticker for it. You're going to get the knife, of course, with either a satin, which is polished, or you're going to get a stone-washed blade, and then either black with blue or black with red as far as your accents. And that's all $80 shipped domestically for you. We're looking at probably a delivery time around February. I know that seems a long time away, but
the world is stalled, man. We all understand.
The timelines on the Kickstarter, you can see exactly why it's taking that long. Even for Kickstarter themselves, they said it might take up to 20 days to actually get funding for it. So even when it ends, they won't actually give the money over possibly for 20 days. So that's where it already kind of puts things back a little bit. But excited. Hopefully you guys are excited. Push the button and kind of invest in your lifestyle and get an Orion Solaris knife.
Yeah, everyone go get that. I'm going to flash Blade Banter's Instagram, YouTube. Does Orion have its own page as well?
Yep, Orion Knives. I have an Orion Knives Instagram too. Now I'm forgetting what the handle is on it, but it's the Orion Knives official.
I'll put it on the bottom here.
Yeah, the logo's there, so you'll be able to see the logo, and it'll be all right.
Dude, thanks for doing this, man. Like I said before, when you design a knife, you can come back on here and we can talk about it. It was great having you on. I really appreciate all the hard work you do for the Apex Fastener group, and I hope that this helps the process, man. And whether it gets funded or not, I think it's a really dope idea, and I want you to keep going, keep designing knives. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, appreciate it. Appreciate everybody else for watching. Let's see who wins.
Yeah. This is your boy in the NYC. It's me, Ray, and this is the EDCCP saying peace.
Yo, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so we can squad up in the comments.